Our Dharma talk this morning will be by Reverend Nakamoto.
Let us join hands together in Gashu for an aspiration. Thus have I praised the Buddha's virtues. Boundless are they like the water of the sea. Through the grace of Namo Amida Butsu, into this land may all beings be born. Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Long time no see. It's been a while since I've seen you all in your at Sunday service. Good to see your smiling faces. Not that I haven't thought about you folks. Yeah? I've thought about you folks a lot. How can I forget my Dharma friends and family? Okay, so today is the rededication service. And I believe that this quote, quote unquote, rededication service, after a short break in August, is just what it is, a short break. Yeah. And the dedication part is always there. You know, it's in our daily living the teachings. And the temple is like the dojo, or the practice hall, yeah? Where we come together as Dharma friends and to share in the experience of the Dharma and continue together to relate it to our everyday growth and development. So this coming together as Dharma friends is a critical part of the Jodo Shinshu practice. And, you know, just recently, our Dharma friend, Dr. Al Bloom, passed away. His funeral was yesterday. Some of you folks may not have heard that. But in the Shin Dharma net, the internet, the family posted an announcement on the internet, and I thought I'd share this with you. It is with gratefulness and love that we announce the passing of Reverend Dr. Alfred Bloom. Al moved on to the next step of his journey the evening of August 25th, 2017. And earlier in the day, he was surrounded by his family and several close Dharma friends. Family was present at his passing. Al was comforted by the love of his community, who shared the Nembutsu together, and assurance of the boundless compassion of Amida Buddha. Our treasure is but an earthen vessel, and now Al is at peace. We are deeply saddened by our loss, but are so filled with love and gratitude for the life he gave us, for his presence in the world to share his thoughts, for the amazing generosity of for the hearts that have come and shared his time with us in thought, action, and prayer. This is the Bloom and Domingo family. See, for Al, he brought something special. And as I read this, I found this in the internet as I was looking at that Shin Dharma net that had the announcement. And Al had written something about why Shin Buddhism for me? Why Shin Buddhism for me? And Al saw the Jodo Shinshu teachings as not necessarily something he set aside time for, not something he quote unquote practiced, but something that just happens, yeah? Something that is an integral part of my life, he says, my friends, my my family. Even, especially those friends and family who are not Buddhists. And for him, spirituality is something that he strives to integrate into all aspects of his life. A vehicle to connect him to the world, not to isolate it from him. So for Al, experiences with Shin Buddhism include temple services filled not only with chanting, but with singing, with music, laughter, and with children. Yeah? And the spontaneity that children always bring into any social event. These experiences included barbecue chicken over the outdoor pit behind the Berkeley Buddhist Temple. And Al was the dean of the Institute of Buddhist Studies at Berkeley a while back. And that's where this experience was gotten. And he experienced this outdoor barbecue at a bazaar with a bunch of total strangers, yeah? And all of whom were welcoming and friendly. So his experiences of Shin Buddhism are largely experiences he's had out in the world of work and family and friends. Countless small moments where I'm reminded of my deep interconnection to other people. Moments where I'm forced to pause, reflect on how beautiful, how fragile this world is. How grateful I am for this life, with all its joys and all its imperfections, just as it is. This to me is a statement of the beauty he sees in the deep interconnection of one to another, and how the coming together of Dharma friends is a critical part of Jodo Shinshu. I'll share a little bit more about that as I talk about his funeral later on. But there's a story I wanted to share about Al. Not too long ago, Cookie called me and he said, hey, you know, Al is now at hospice. You know, it's a beautiful place in Nuuanu, and where one of our temple members was there. We went to visit him, Cookie and I. It's a beautiful, pleasant atmosphere. And he's there. He was very happy because now his family didn't have to worry about him. You know, his wife lost her 2 legs from her illness, and then his family, his daughter and son-in-law, and some of the family members are there to help. But he knows that it was a tough job caring for him. So he was happy that they didn't have to worry about him. He didn't have to worry about them. And he was quite comfortable there. And he could speak with all kinds of people, especially Buddhists, who's, you know, his family is Christian, so there's not too much dialogue going on about religion. But later on I found out differently. Actually, I was talking stories with Al, and he shared with me something. He said, you know, how come I'm here at this, being very contented with my life, I'm taken care of. And at the same time, he expressed, he felt somewhat in a quandary about his situation. Here he is comfortable, and yet at the same time there are those who are suffering around him. You know, he especially talked about the people in Syria Some of us have thoughts about people in Houston, things are happening around us and are experiencing some tremendous hardship. But he asked that question together. He and I said, let's talk about that. And we had a long talk, and we both concluded that life is about a natural flow. Yeah? There is suffering in our lives, and there is contentment going side by side. We are part of this natural flow. We experience this just as it is. This is not something we easily can conceive of for ourselves. Perhaps we are talking about things as they are, or reality as it is. For me, this is a beautiful moment of realization, kind of like an aha moment, if you will. Life comes with constant challenges for ourselves. Yeah? Change, the experience of impermanence can bring loss, can bring struggle when we feel a loss of a loved one, and it brings discomfort in our lives. Feelings of frustration, anger, or even hatred may come up in us. In the realization that life is just is, we come to see things from a different perspective. It's like describing, you're in the ocean, you're struggling with the wave, you're trying to get to land, and you're almost exhausted, and then there's this realization that all I need to do is turn around and float and let the ocean take care of me. It's like hanging from a cliff with an old vine, and looking below, you see if you should fall, it'll be the end of your life. And then he looks up and he sees this little rat gnawing away at the vine. Kind of a scary situation. But in reality, he's sitting in his living room in his couch. Yeah. So the perspective has changed as one is in touch with reality, the truth of reality as is. For our teachings, Amida Buddha's compassion is there for us to see reality as it is. Gratitude we express by saying Namo Amida Buddha. And some may say, oh, but that doesn't help. Someone had called me and I was sharing this story. But in reality, life, we have struggles, and there is loss. We feel a lot of pain when we have loss. But life changes. Yeah? Life moves on. Life never stays the same. Yeah? Our perspective changes. So my discussion with Al also involved, he's telling me that, this professional counselor had come to visit him one day, and he heard that Al was kind of worried about dying. So he came, to give him some help. So Al told him, I'm not worried about dying. That's Amida Buddha's work. So I left, So I was, I don't know how he got word that maybe somebody assumed he was afraid of dying. That was Al Bloom. You know, sometimes you've heard him say, when you die, you die. And some people kind of wonder, what does that mean? Well, isn't it true when we die, we die? Yeah. But he leaves it up to Amita. Yeah. Anyway, at a funeral I went to recently, I learned that this 90-year-old man, it was his funeral, he had a fruitful life, being involved in so many ways at helping people. And the funeral was attended by so many people, the whole funeral parlor was used. Much was shared at the service about his selfless giving with others and how he served as a mentor in life for other people. But in the eulogy, it shared this man's vision and his path for life. And he called it a simple path. It was a path that he truly lived. Yeah? And it was, quote, take care of yourself. If you don't do that, you are no good to anybody else. And take care of each other. That was his vision, and that was his life. And as I listened to this message, I realized that there is great wisdom in it. And I thought about this temple. Yeah. Is this not the vision? The Dharma is nurtured in us as individuals. We ourselves work at it, learning and developing it for ourselves. We then share it with each other at temple, with family, friends, community. We nurture a community of learners. We are supported on our path toward true enrichment and fulfillment. A beautiful vision, indeed. You know, last night at the funeral, it was an amazing sharing of this man. He impacted so many people, not only here in Hawaii and his family and people around him, but all over the world. He's written so many articles about Shin Buddhism. But all those stories came up. But what was amazing to me was his family that shared at the funeral. And one of the people who shared was his son-in-law. And he's a Methodist minister. Can you imagine now, this family had his wife is Methodist, his daughter and his son-in-law, and they're living in this household together. Yeah. So, but what I found was that this son-in-law, he said when he met Al for the first time, this is before he married his daughter, he said, this man, he just was a natural, humble person who didn't come from this position of teacher or a doctor. He just wanted to know who you are. And he shared his life, you know, with the son-in-law. And the son-in-law was so amazed that, you know, he's such a open person, willing to share himself. And this son-in-law said something like this. He said, Al gave an invitation to others to connect and build a relationship. And that got me because I think that it talked about Buddhism. We are interconnected. We are interdependent. We don't like to think that way because we all have our own egos. We have our own thoughts about how we want to see things, and it's hard. But when he was reminding us that just live, as a natural true self, the I always comes into play. Like that song, if you want to be free, just relax your ego a little bit, yeah? It's hard to kill the ego. It's there, we are part of the ego, but we are, we come to the realization that our true selves is really just a natural, truthful part of ourselves, not yearning, pulling us from the self-centeredness that we have. But I thought about what he said, and I went to talk to him after the funeral, and the son-in-law said, yes, we don't have discussions about religion. We talk to connect, getting to know each other, and living this way, yeah, in the freedom of being ourselves. But I thought that was so beautiful. And we at Temple come to learn the Dharma, and we come to understand ourselves, not necessarily always trying to be better people, but be ourselves, yeah, and better able to connect with others in a very natural way. And isn't that beautiful? Okay, well, that's what I wanted to share with you folks today. And I think that it made me think about Amida Buddha's compassion. Somehow it dawned on me that when we talk about the compassion of the Buddha coming to help us see reality as it is, maybe it's opening up our eyes to see that it's right there in front of us, allowing ourselves to invite, ourselves to connect. That is my Dhamma talk today, and I spent 6 months writing this talk. I've been away 6 months, yeah? Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for listening, and have a nice day. Namo Buddhaya.